Guys, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Hope you guys are having a great afternoon. It is Thursday and people are thirsty, I guess, right? It's Thirsty Thursday. If you guys are having a wonderful day, I hope you guys are. Let's talk about what's going on Twitter and on Instagram between Kail and David. Kail Lowry from Teen Mom 2 and David Eason, the husband of the now fired and terminated Jenelle Eason, whatever you want to call her these days. So here's what's happening. The other day, Miss Thang over here, she posted this photo of her at the beach in her cute little bikini, right? So there's been all this chatter on social media that Jenelle has put on some pounds. Like, who cares? Who literally cares? If she wants to be 100,000 million pounds, let her. Like, I don't understand that. But she's put on some weight, and apparently everyone has been talking about it. There's been a lot of stuff about, is she pregnant? Is she not pregnant? And she's all like, I just like to eat now. It's fine. It's cool. And anytime anyone in the media that has a social media presence puts on 5 pounds, it's like the talk of the town. We have to dissect it, and then they're going to lose the weight, and it's going to be like next month it'll be like the dramatic weight loss of Jenelle, right? Well, if you remember last year, David body shamed Kail and was like talking about her body. And obviously, Kail is not one to stay out of things. Kail loves to go back and forth with people. She has been in comments with Deborah. She is just not one to shy away from beef. Whatever. That's Kail. So Kail makes this comment after she sees the photo of Jenelle yesterday, and she says, I don't know who needs to hear this, but David better never come for my body ever again. Now, I asked some of you guys on Twitter what you thought about this, and I said, do you think this is petty, or do you think, go girl? Some of you guys were like, God, that's so petty. Why would she do that? And others of you made a really good point. Hey, he went after her. She's put on some weight, and he criticized her for basically being kind of what Jenelle looks like right now, which is not a bad thing, you guys. They're both beautiful women. But her point here is like, so it was okay. It's not okay when it's me, but it's okay when it's your wife. Got it. Cool. I can see Kail's point, but I also know that Kail, my opinion, Kail loves to throw stuff out because, she knows she's going to get attention. And, there's this whole thing about social media publicity, right? My opinion. Well, that didn't stop David from commenting, right? So he's like, I'm sorry about this. I'm sorry, but if this is what you get after having multiple surgeries with lipo, you deserve a refund. Take the doctor's license away. He also said, responding to one of her tweets, which says, I don't know who needs to hear this, but David better not come for my body today. And he said, oh, you can call my wife fat and tell me not to say anything about you in the same sentence? Right, cool. And then, I don't know who needs to hear this. And then he says, I feel sorry for anyone that ever came for your body. Trust me, I wouldn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. So, as much as you hate Kail, she sort of walked right into this by even bringing it up because I'm not on David's side at all, but David's not going to be quiet because if someone claps at David, David has to clap back, right? So then she criticized him and was like, well, at least if you could show me a current picture, at least show me this one, and it's of her. She's currently pregnant, And then someone actually pointed out that the photo that he had shared of her was right after she had Lux and actually before she ever had the surgery. And then people were starting to say that she was coming at Jenelle. So she was saying like, well, Kail, aren't you all about body positivity? Like, why are you coming at Jenelle for gaining some weight? And so she clarified by saying, let me just be clear. I said that what I said is directed towards David and only David. Whatever y'all deduced on that is your own opinion. And then, at one point, Brianna De Jesus, who, by the way, I didn't even know these two talked anymore because they had this beef, Brianna and Jenelle. And Brianna, who hates Kail because of Kail and Javi and all that stuff, says that girl lost after that horse photo. Sorry, leave Jenelle alone. And Jenelle commented about no comment. If we all know that interesting photo that Kail made of her pregnancy shoot with the horse that was not well received, and so many of you were like, what the heck is this? I had no real opinion about it other than I thought, interesting choice to be outside naked in Iceland or standing next to a horse. But to each their own. So there she is. Here, David, when you shame me, use a recent pic. And she said I would at him, but I don't know it. He doesn't have a Twitter, Kail, so it's totally fine. And then when she said, okay, but how do you not have any stretch marks? And she said, surgery was in 2016. I'm sorry if I have some of my belly at the end of this pregnancy, though. So, and then when she talked again about David, she said, I don't know who needs to hear this, but David better not come for my body again. And then Lindsay shows up and she's like, oh, you made me go investigate. Oh, that Lindsay, she's always off to do things. Anyways, obviously the person that they're talking about has an opinion here, Jenelle, and she's like, please stop sending me screenshots. Yeah, I see what she's posting and I don't care. Let's move on with life. But before all of that started, she was like talking about how she wanted to get off social media. This is all just crap. And she says, how do you block someone out of your life completely and they are still commenting about your life? Let's just look opposite directions and act like we never met. Thanks. Isn't it crazy? It's been a year now. Pointing out again that, like, why did she bring this up? There's no point in this. They haven't talked in a year. She's left the show a year ago. Why would Kail even think to bring up Jenelle's name? I'm so sick of social media. You know, and how is she going to bring up a comment about something that my husband said over a year ago? We have cut off all contact with her, and she still has something to say. I just don't get it. So that's kind of my question. And you guys are entitled to feel whatever you want to feel about this. But if they don't have contact anymore, and if she is not having any sort of contact with Jenelle, we know Janelle's not on the show anymore. We know Kail's pregnant. Maybe Kail's hormonal. Is it appropriate for a year later for her to try to reignite this beef? I mean, obviously it's getting us talking about her. So does she just want us to talk about it? And is coming at David a year later just because his wife gained weight, is that cool if you're body positivity? I don't know. I mean, like, you can still, like, hate David, but why do you need to talk about David if you hate David? You know what I mean? Like, that's my question. And then I know others of you will say, well, she has a right to stand up for herself, but I don't know. Part of me just feels like it's just, I don't know, petty. It feels like Kail is being like, I don't want to even, this is how much I don't want to stand up for Jenelle. And first off, the comments that David made back to her are absolutely atrocious. And this whole fight is completely insane to me. But I don't know how coming at David, if what she's saying is true, is you're coming at David, not at Jenelle. You are kind of coming at Jenelle, Kail. You're totally coming at Jenelle. You're saying like, oh, your girl's fat now. And that's not okay if you're supposed to be about body positivity. Conversely, the only reason that you're in this mess and that David is responding is because you started it. There was no reason to even talk about it. You didn't have to tweet about it, but you did tweet about it, and now here we are. So Kail seems completely unbothered. This is sort of what Kail does. She likes to, she was getting in a Twitter spat with Deborah from Farrah. She likes to just poke at people and get people talking. And part of me is just like, okay, yes, you're standing up for yourself, but it's really old news, Kail. And now this whole feud is opened like a wound. And now you have someone who has put on weight that might feel insecure about that, not feeling good about it because of what you said. So in a roundabout way, while you're taking a slap at David, you're taking a slap at Jenelle, and I don't get it. And this isn't the first time Kail has done this. She clearly is so bothered by Jenelle that she has to constantly talk about her. And for no other reason that I can think of is that Jenelle gets even more press than her. You know what I mean? Like, Kail is still on the show, but yet more people care about what Jenelle is doing on a daily basis, which is so weird to me. But more people will click on a story about Jenelle than they do about Kail. So is it that she just wants to be in the same tagline as Kail or as Jenelle? These cast members are so strategic about getting publicity. So I feel like it's like a publicity grab. And then here I am talking about it. So it's the hypocrisy of it all, right? Okay, first of all, I think good for you for standing up for yourself, but also it's kind of petty. And then I also oddly feel sad for Jenelle because nobody should be like shaming her if she's gained weight. And indirectly, I feel like Kail shamed her. You might think completely different. I'm not on either side here. I actually think this is really petty and really bullcrap, and it shouldn't have even happened. But so many of you are talking about it, so I felt like I had to come on here and say it. So I want to know what you guys say. Like, is this petty? Should she have said something? What about David's responses? I think David's responses were really mean, but David's not a nice person in my opinion, so I don't know what else we would expect. And is this all just to get in the press? Tell me in the comments below. Bye, guys.